Okay, this is our first lesson or tutorial in Scratch where you'll have a submission to make. So I'm going to show you sort of two files. I've got two tabs open. The first one is just going to show you what this should do, your finished product. Okay, and so what we have here is the ghost sprite. When I hit the arrow key on my keyboard, okay, activate this. I hit the arrow key, the ghost moves across the screen until it stops. I hit the left arrow key, it does the opposite. Okay, and notice I'm only hitting once. So if I hit it and then halfway through I tap it again, I'm not sure if you can hear my keyboard, but tap, 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 tap. Okay, so that's what's happening. And then when I hit this green flag, it resets the position. Okay, so notice that I'm not holding the arrow key down, I'm just tapping it once and it continues. Okay, so now that you understand the functionality, what this is supposed to look like when we're done, this is what you are going to start with. These are all the code blocks that you need to make this happen. These have been pulled straight out of the side here. And they will do everything you need. There's nothing that you don't need, and you do need all of these pieces to make this work. Okay. And so taking a look at what you have here, we covered all of these except for the orange ones here. And to be perfectly honest, that's all you really have to figure out. This becomes kind of a problem-solving activity. Okay, so you know what these guys do. We talked about events and what they do. We talked about motion and what those things do. We looked at the properties of our property inspector and we understand what's happening there. And we actually did look at stop and the fact that this has a drop down, okay, and can be changed. Sorry, that's acting funny there. Okay, so that I can select from here which one of these I want. Now I've left it at the default, right? So when I went to control, I just dragged the stop out like this, but depending on how you're building this, you may need to consider that. Okay, and then there's a forever loop here, which says forever do something, whatever happens to be inside here. Okay, so for the most part, I don't think this is overly complicated. It's a matter of sort of thinking this process through and thinking about what you're trying to do. It might be helpful for you to think about this having sort of three events, right? One event is to reset the position of the ghost. One is to move this right continually. One is to move it left continually. Okay. And if you write out on a piece of paper or just on in your notes, however you happen to do that, that you're doing a reset event, and then looking at these blocks and going, okay, well, what block will help me do that? Okay, and then once you've got those moved out of the way, looking at what's left and deciding on how you're going to make the sprite move to the right and to the left, and leaving no blocks at the end. Okay, the tricky part of this, I guess, is just getting the order right. So I mentioned in the first lesson that the order matters when you put some blocks together in a given sequence. It runs those blocks in the sequence that it reads them. So putting something above another block means it'll happen first, or if I put it below a block, it'll happen after that block. So keeping that in mind will help you as well. Okay, so give that a think through that process. And then finally, this is quite easy at this point because it's not a complicated piece of code block. But for each of the blocks that you're going to create, you're going to comment out. So I've already created the comments, but you can create a comment by adding a comment. I just right click and go add a comment, and then I can add it to whatever I want to comment out. And so if I'm adding a comment here, I can then tag it and put it to whichever of the say I've taken this block and this block and this block, or this block, I'm just randomly picking, and I want to identify that this set of blocks together do some function. Okay, I would write that. I would write that in here and say what it does. Okay, I've given you the three that you'll need. So one is move left, one is move right, and one is reset the X position and rotation. Okay, actually, don't even, that should actually be reset X position and Y position. No, it's not. You don't even need that. It's just X position. Sorry. Right? That's all you're doing. You're just resetting this. Once it moves, it's setting it over to this negative 200. Okay, I think that's all you'll need. Once you are done with that, you'll need to save your work. So remember, you click in here to save your work. It'll save it into your folders. And then in a subsequent video, I will show you how to export that, save it and export it to be put on your website, your blog, and have it submit to Brightspace. But we'll do that in the next video. Okay, good luck with this little challenge.